there. So my name is Jessie Dempsey, and I'm going to do just a quick presentation review of my persuasion paper for this week. And this was mainly just about the interpersonal persuasion between you and a friend. And so I chose to focus on one of my best friends that I spend a lot of time with her and I know her really well. And I thought it would be kind of cool to get just a perspective on how about basically how her and I persuade each other, or how one person persuades the other. And so for this specific paper, I just chose to focus on for my four uh, persuasion aspects. I wanted to focus on verbal, nonverbal, compliance seeking, and conflict. The reason why I chose these was just because verbal and nonverbal, I feel like that's pretty easy, but I was really curious to see in terms of the compliance seeking and conflict, which would be like common, or who does one more than the other, or the other way around. So when interpersonal communication, it's the exchange of information, emotions, and meaning from one person to another. And when it comes to persuasion, it changes a little bit. Instead of just communication, there's a meaning behind that. So with verbal persuasion, it's basically how you choose to use your words. So it's not just what you're saying, but it's how you're saying it and what you're choosing to say when you say those things. Nonverbal persuasion focuses more on your body language, so that would be like eye contact, touching, facial expressions, things like that, that can also assist in just persuading people to do what you want them to. Compliance seeking is persuading someone to do what you want them to do or say what you want them to say. So you're basically just asking them to comply with you, persuading them to do that. And with conflict, it's persuading someone how to deal with conflict. So with that, sometimes the end of a relationship can come from this, because when you're not dealing with conflict properly, it can end badly, and ultimately it could end in a broken relationship. So I began doing research with my friend, just 3 days like we were told to do, and I used qualitative research, just through investigating how we persuade each other, and then the I don't even know how to say it, autoethnographic research I used mainly just to look back at myself and to see how am I persuading, how am I affecting our relationship through persuasion. So when it came to nonverbal persuasion, or to verbal and nonverbal persuasion, I kind of put them together in the paper just because I feel like they do kind of go hand in hand. And so with that, I kind of learned that when it comes to persuasion, I'm usually the person who does the persuading. So with me, it was very trying to get Gracie to do things like skip class with me, or go to breakfast, or get up at 5 a.m. and go to the beach, and things like that, that just caused me to send her, a text saying, please skip class, or, please do this with me. Or when I would see her, I would, bump her and like give her puppy dog eyes because I wanted her to come with me. And she doesn't do that as much with me, and that's something that I just thought was really interesting, is something that I noticed, was that when it comes to persuasion, she doesn't have to persuade me very much to get me to do things with her, so she usually just doesn't. So when it came to compliance seeking, hers was very different than mine, and mine was more persuasive, and hers is much more mellow, I guess you could say, just very, she definitely doesn't need to use as persuasive of language, because like I said, I usually just don't need that much persuading. So when it came to conflict, I thought it was actually really interesting, because the conflict in terms of our relationship was pretty much non-existent. We don't have a lot of conflict in our friendship, which I'm really thankful for, but we did certainly help each other with conflict with other people and just talking out how to deal with that. And I definitely would say that with this specific case, she definitely persuaded me more than I would persuade her in terms of how to handle conflict. She's a lot more level headed sometimes. I can get heated and frustrated, and she always kind of comes in with the right persuasive things to say instead of persuading me to do things that are not beneficial. So overall, with the observations about it, I definitely learned that I'm much more persuasive than she is. And I think this was really good for me because I just had to really dig deep and see that in our relationship. And I wish that due to our busy schedules, I wish I would have had more time to talk with her and to spend more time figuring out the persuasion relationship. However, I do believe that in terms of further research, it's really helpful to know the person really well before. So, not just someone that you run into every day, but someone that you're very close with. It's really easy to observe things in terms of persuasion. And so, I'm really glad I got to do this paper because it just helped me understand her, helped me understand me. And yeah, I think that's about it. So, thank you.